Well, the brand new Avatar Studios project has been revealed by Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. Fan-made projects of what would follow the Legend of Korra have been popping up across the interwebs. Today, I want to introduce to you one in particular that is ongoing and looks quite promising: The Legend of Genji. Taking place after Korra's death, the animated web series introduces the next avatar in line, an earthbender with a preference for sandbending named Genji. In today's video, I'll go over the project, introduce its cool new characters, and finally start a discussion on the future of the Avatar franchise. So, what exactly is The Legend of Genji? The project, that started to make waves towards the end of 2019, is a volunteer fan-based Avatar project in the form of a slightly animated comic book. While the yet-to-be-released first chapter will begin 17 years after Korra's passing, a prologue episode called End of an Era is available on their official YouTube channel. It starts during the Avatar's funeral after she saved the city of Ba Sing Se from an apocalyptic surge of spiritual energy. Korra prevented the city from literally exploding by using energy bending and redirecting the energy skyward, which sadly ended up creating a blast that took her life. During the prologue, a heartbroken Asami wearing a Water Tribe necklace mourns the passing of her loved one. If you look carefully, you'll notice a picture featuring the two lovers, which hints at the fact that they tied the knot sometime during their youth. While a now older Jinora makes a speech, you can notice a few familiar faces amongst the crowd, like Mako, Bolin, Naga, while others like Fire Lord Izumi and General Iroh are paying their respect outside. The prologue says goodbye to Korra, while opening the way for a new avatar to be born. Set in what would be the equivalent of our 60s and 70s, The Legend of Genji introduces us to the first televised avatar with the 6-year-old Luan. The boy became a real sensation and is featured on TV specials and newspapers. But, much like in The Rise of Kyoshi, Luan is actually not the real avatar. Years later, the real avatar, Genji, a sandbender who grew up in the Siwang Desert, will be discovered, which will change everything throughout the Earth Federation and the world. In the Legend of Genji's universe, the Earth Kingdom was dissolved by Avatar Korra and Prince Wu as they installed a new democratic system and renamed it the Earth Federation. While this all sounds good and President General Bao Jun worked hard to modernize his nation, his corrupt administration and his plan to unite the Earth Federation under a one-identity policy endangered the cultural identity of both the Foggy Swamp Tribe and the Siwang tribes. This is where assigning the avatar to a sandbender becomes really interesting. Sandbenders have had such a limited role in Avatar: The Last Airbender when they kidnapped the poor Appa, and an even lesser one in The Legend of Korra as they barely appeared on screen. There still remains a lot of stories that could be expanded on for these particular tribes. And although we know earthbenders can glassbend, who knows to what extent Genji could bring sandbending when in the Avatar state? Besides the expanding Avatar franchise, the Legend of Genji's website is a real goldmine with fun recorded live streams, speed drawing sessions, more information about the Avatar world they're building, artist applications to join, and tons of conceptual art. While the project has been stalled a bit, Team Genji makes sure to give us a few updates now and then. As it stands, we should be able to finally get our hands on episodes 1 and 2 not too far along the road. But for now, let me turn to the new Team Avatar they've created and explore their designs and personalities. While being important, what truly defines both Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra is not necessarily their action scenes or events, but in fact, their character development. The franchise is all about growth, from Aang learning to know himself through mastering the 4 elements, to Zuko's amazing redemption arc, and Korra learning to be vulnerable. Of course, cool character designs, unique bending art styles, and amazing boomerang throwing skills are also part of what makes an Avatar character great. Let's take a look at how the new Legend of Genji characters measure up. Let's start with the main protagonist, Genji. While Genji was born and raised amongst the sandbenders in the Siwang Desert, him and his family were forced to move out and relocate 4 years ago in a crowded city named Jinsha. Earlier in his life, he would travel across the Siwang Desert with his homemade sand sailor. Nowadays, he mostly goes around town accepting work that's available to him in order to support his mother and his little sister. At this stage of the story, he still hasn't been discovered as the Avatar and is a bit of a truant with no real interest in school. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the airbender Kai with a hint of Korra, don't you think? While Genji is a bit hard on the outside, his airbending friend Khao Sang seems to be the total opposite. Khao Sang, not to be confused with Kyoshi's mentor Kelsang, is a highly intelligent airbending prodigy. Born of two famous airbenders, he has everything in his favor to become the next Tenzin. Having earned his Air Nation tattoos after years of studies and practice, Khalsang is ready to be freed into the world to share his vast knowledge. Something tells me he'll become Genji's airbending teacher, but something also tells me that the two might be a bit of a clash, or at least in the beginning. A sandstorm is surely on the rise. Next, we have Nami from the Northern Water Tribe. According to healers, the cheerful-looking girl was supposed to grow up and become one of the greatest waterbenders. After being enrolled in a private waterbending academy in the north, Nami still has not bent one single droplet of water. Nami might be one of the rare Water Tribe protagonists who is a non-bender. However, she does have a cute little quirk. She hangs out with weird tiny spirits at home, which means her connection to the spirits might be really strong and could come in handy for one of the gang's upcoming adventures. The firebender, Aiko Hibana, seems to be a mix between Asumi and Azula. She's outgoing, a perfectionist, and proud. Studying at the Royal Fire Academy for Girls, she's one of the best students in the institution. But trying to keep at the top has its toll on her, as she often experiences anxiety over not being the best of the best. Does that remind you of someone who lost their marbles? Now, this completes the new Team Avatar with members from all 4 nations. But that's not all. Besides the characters from previous shows, the team behind The Legend of Genji created 2 more characters, which we don't know yet if they'll be with or against Team Avatar. Luan is a strong earthbender and metalbender who was named the new Avatar by the White Lotus and the Dai Li. With his shiny new title, he and his family went up to the elite class as he was groomed to learn all 4 elements. Just like Yun in the book Rise of Kyoshi, he became a master of earthbending through the education that was given to him, but also can't firebend, or any other elements besides earth for that matter. The last character I want to talk about in this point is Maya. Maya, originally from the seaside of the Earth Federation, just graduated from the Dai Li Training Academy and was appointed as the Avatar's personal security detail. Something tells me these two might enter into conflict with the new Team Avatar, making for an earth-shaking showdown. While the team behind The Legend of Genji seems to be thrilled by the Avatar Studios announcement, I'm wondering what that means for the future of their project. If you haven't heard, the creators of the Avatar franchise have left the boat on that Netflix live-action remake project and signed a deal with Nickelodeon for the upcoming streaming platform Paramount+. While we have no idea what stories will be told, we know for a fact that Avatar Studios will focus on expanding the Avatar world with new series, starting with an animated film, which is planned to be theatrically released in cinemas. There are a few possible ways these series may take form. The creators might want to adapt the comic book sequels, which follow both Aang's adventures after the original series and Korra's after her own series. While it would be fun to see these well-written comics animated, I think fans would rather like to have brand new stories come to the screen. This could be adventures that take place later after the comic's timeline or focus specifically on some characters. A show about Zuko growing up as the Fire Lord would please more than one fan for sure. Another avenue would be to adapt the Kyoshi novels, The Rise of Kyoshi and The Shadow of Kyoshi. While some might find the idea redundant, this could open the door for more animated series about previous avatars. After all, it seems like one of their goals is to create their own MCU using film and television. The most obvious idea that comes to mind is also the least safe one for Avatar Studios. Like they did with The Legend of Korra, and like The Legend of Genji is currently doing, they could decide to tell the story of the next Avatar. Depending on when Korra would die, we could easily get an 80s, 90s, or even 2000s inspired Avatar series. Oh, count me in for a skateboarding earthbender Avatar! To return to Genji, this makes me think that we don't know that much about sandbenders, and as far as I'm concerned, we never got to witness a sandbending Avatar, right? While metalbending is not the easiest form of earthbending to master, ask Bolin, sandbending requires a set of very precise skills in order to bend thousands of grains of sand to one's will. Imagine what an Avatar would be able to do with sand while being in the Avatar state. I'm talking about huge sandstorms that could literally be set on fire if the Avatar controls the friction between the mineral particles at high speed. The future Earth Avatar could also create sand clones Gaara style to help them out in battle against an army of enemies. Earthbenders are known to erect giant walls of earth in order to shield themselves from incoming fire, water, or air attacks. So, a sandbending avatar could do something similar, but in a more malleable way, as sandbending is a fluid art close to waterbending. This could give them the opportunity to create weapons, shields, and armors made out of hardened sand or even glass if manipulated towards this goal. Now, granted, both series about past avatars and the avatar following Korra are promising ideas. But have you considered futuristic Avatar, or even Avatar in space? It could open the Avatar universe to whole new bending powers across the galaxy.